Armstrong, and I'm backstage at the Royal Festival Hall for the EFG London Jazz Festival with Marcus Miller after quite an incredible show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks, man. We had a nice time.
So did we. I mean, that especially that being sort of the end, it's a full circle for you, isn't it? 18 months of the Renaissance tour, back at the LJF, back at the Royal Festival Hall. I mean, what a year and a half you must have had.
Yeah, well, I was a little reluctant, because we had basically played this set a year and a half ago, but the music has grown so much, man, and this audience is so hip. I figured they would get it, if I just came back with the same music, but seeing how the music was an infant when we played it the first time, and now the music has grown into an adult, you know what I mean? So I figured I would just present it again, and hopefully people would enjoy it.
I mean, some of the material you're playing tonight, I know you've covered on the latest album, there's a brilliant version of Janelle Monáe's Tightrope, and you even finished with the encore of Come Together, which is just such a great version. That song's been covered many a time, but yet you still managed to put your fingerprint on that. Are there any songs that you plan to cover or you'd like to touch upon?
Oh yeah, man, there's so many songs. The thing I try to do is find something that you wouldn't expect somebody to cover. You know what I mean? It's one thing if it's just so obvious, but it's another thing if nobody would imagine you doing a Janelle Monáe song, And I think I got that from working with Luther Vandross. I worked with Luther as a producer, as a songwriter for many years, and he said, man, he would say, hey man, let's do this song by the Carpenters. And I said, are you kidding me? We're gonna do a Carpenters song, But once he got through with it, man, it's like, of course. It was like, of course. So I think that rubbed off, man. I'm trying to find music that everybody knows but would never associate with an improvisational band.
And does the same go for musicians as well? I mean, you've played with worked with so many of the greats, from Miles to Herbie through everyone else. I mean, and not just playing with them, but like you say, producing as well. Is there anyone sort of in your radar at the moment that you'd like to work with that you haven't touched on yet?
Well, Robert Glasper just was in the other room over there, and I'm hoping that we can do something together. But in terms of people that you wouldn't expect, there's a couple of African musicians that I've been listening to that I think I would like to try to see if there's some common ground that we could find,
You've just played a huge concert hall and you've played festivals all over the world, but is there still somewhere in your heart for those small clubs? Do you love those intimate gigs?
Yeah, there's nothing like playing a small club, in some cities, if you play a small club, you got to stay in that city for a week, you know what I mean? Just so that everyone who wants to see you can see you. But man, it's such a wonderful experience for everybody. They can see you sweat, they can really hear the details of what you're playing, especially on a bass guitar, you know what I mean? It's hard to convey everything that I'm trying to convey in a big place. You know what I mean? You really have to play clearly, you know what I mean? To get people to hear what you're doing.
Marcus, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.